Hi there. Now I'm looking at the hole in the bottom of the boat. Last time you saw me take care of the stuck centerboard. But now I need to repair the hole in the bottom as I want to get out on the sea as fast as possible. To do a proper repair I should turn the hull upside down and do the repair from above, because that would be the strongest laminate. But as I want to get out on the sea as fast as possible, I will not remove the boat from the trailer. Instead I will try to do a repair from below. And there are some challenges with that. So let's see if we can solve this problem. To make the hull lighter to move around on the trailer, I remove all that is loose, including the inside deck. This will also make it possible to clean and vacuum under the deck. I roll back the hull to free the hole. Maybe the roller wheel is a suspected trasher. First I sand down the affected area until I have a dull laminate. After the sanding there is a small area that is loose. Around this coinage large area there are delamination. With the knife I cut out the area. You could also fill it with epoxy and let it be. But I want to make sure that I get out all moisture. So I clean cut the edges until there is a solid laminate all around. And the wood doesn't feel moist. I use a sander to further smoothen the edges. Now all feels nice. The mahogany is a bit soft, but I will let it stay in place. Any replacement would be more visible. I check that the wood under the laminate is dry, and to make sure I use a heat gun, carefully to not overheat the epoxy. Inside I cut small patches of glass that I will use for the repair. I also construct a pressure pad out of cardboard. The last preparation is to preheat the area to reduce the amount of trapped air. Then I pre-wet the surface. After a couple of hours I continue with the patches and wet these out on a piece of plastic. As the pre-wetting epoxy has cured a few hours, it is sticky and will hold on to the patches better. I start adding the patches. With the gloves on I try to remove air and get good contact. I add the bigger patches on top of the smaller ones to level out the transformation zone. The bigger patches, the more I have to fight gravitation. I add the pressure patch on top of the glass to keep it in place and avoid air bubbles as much as possible. While I wait for the repair to cure, I sand down the coaming. There are several small cracks in the surface that sucks up water and darkens by time. Before this gets an issue, I want to cover the coaming with new epoxy and varnish. I vacuum the inside to get rid of the sanding dust and all filth under the deck. Then I put on a new layer of epoxy. Without glass it will not be so strong, but it will be watertight. At least until I smash something into the coaming. After a night of curing, it's exciting to remove the pressure disc. Not perfect, but maybe good enough. I don't like this air bubble, it may lead to delamination. So I sand the surface to level out the edges. But as the air bubble is below the outer glass layer, I managed to remove the big air bubble also. The glass edge has cured in over the centerboard opening. So I had to sand down this edge also. I puncture the smaller air bubbles with a knife and sand down the sharp edges around these small holes. Now I pre-wet the surface again and prepare one replacement layer to cover the low spots from the removed air bubble. I take this outside and check the stickiness of the surface before I press the extra patch in place. I hope this comes out nice. I use a leftover from the epoxy batch to lay a second layer on the coaming. Now it's interesting to see how the last layer turned out. I need to sand down the edges. The final step in the repair is to put on a layer of epoxy and varnish on top of that. If there is no penetration through the epoxy layer, only varnish is enough to get a smooth and blank surface again. Next time there might be some drone clips released and I can take you sailing. The catamaran build is also proceeding and it's in the pipeline. Please join me in any case.